change from July to December. It's just so crazy. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I wanted to talk about Sydney Sweeney. I'm sure most of you guys have heard about this American Eagle ad that she did months ago now. And she recently did an article with People magazine where she talked about, you know, basically she kind of responded to that ad, right? And this is something that she hadn't spoken about before. So I thought that the narrative online and what people are saying on TikTok was very, very interesting. So I wanted to kind of break this down. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the timeline of when she did this ad because I found it very, very interesting. And I'm gonna just show a clip of the ad real quick.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has great genes.
American Eagle launched a new fall denim campaign with actress Sydney Sweeney, using the punny tagline, Sydney Sweeney has great genes. In one ad, Sweeney crosses out genes and replaces it with jeans by talking about traits like blue eyes and blonde hair. In the other video, subsequently removed, Sweeney states, genes are passed down, my genes are blue, drawing sharper scrutiny. Critics claim the campaign invokes eugenics and white supremacist imagery, especially given Sweeney's blonde, blue-eyed appearance, calling the reception a regressive glorification of good genes.
Okay, so I went back to look, and this ad basically came out in July of 2025. So I think it was July 23rd. So this was like in the middle of summer that this ad came out, right? Months ago. We are now in December, okay? And I looked at this timeline because I looked at that. And then we all saw the interview that she did, I think with GQ it was with GQ. And the interviewer basically asked her, because after the ad, there was so much backlash, right? About, you know, it being a part of like, I think something that they call eugenetic, you know, like this idea of, you know, people that have certain genetics having superiority. And, you know, the rhetoric online was like, people were like, come on, we know that they're not talking about genes. In terms of just like blue genes, they're talking about like genetics. Sydney Sweeney basically does an interview with GQ, does this interview on November 4th of this year, okay? And I'm going to play like a very short clip from that interview as well.
We're sort of talking around this American Eagle ad right now, and maybe we should just talk about it. So, were you surprised by the reaction?
I did a gene ad. I mean, the reaction definitely was a surprise, but it was, I love jeans. All I wear are jeans. I'm literally in jeans and a t-shirt like every day of my life.
Jeans are uncontroversial. Jeans are awesome.
Yeah, I like your jeans.
You look great in your jeans. I think I know how you're going to answer this, but I'm going to ask anyway. I mean, the president tweeted about the jeans ad, or Truth Socialed about the jeans ad, and that just seems to me like a very crazy moment for anyone, and I wondered what that was like.
It was surreal.
It was surreal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I brought up the timeline of when she originally did this ad, which was in July, right? And then she does this GQ ad that you guys just saw, right, in November, right? Where she's basically questioned and the interviewer wants to know, what do you think of the reactions online? She doesn't really say much about that. And she does say that she was surprised by the reaction, but she basically said something about how when she has something to say, she'll say it. So she's not really facing, you know, any of the comments that people are saying. But I don't even think that this ad has as much to do about politics as it does have to do with the idea of certain genes having, or people seeing certain genes as having a sense of superiority, specifically white genes, right? I think that that is like the biggest issue with this ad that I had. And I'm not saying that there isn't a political side to this as well. I just think that the biggest issue with this ad was the idea that it was alluding to genetic superiority. And she just curved. Like, she could have easily said something like, you know what? The reaction surprised me, and I, you know, don't believe in those things, right? I believe that everybody has different genes and that they're all great. Or, you know, I don't believe in genetic superiority. If anything, I like to wear jeans, and that's that. She could have said something, right? And her remaining silent basically just let people run rampant more with this idea that she supported the ad, essentially, right? One thing that I saw online that I thought was pretty interesting was people were also saying that American Eagle should have been the one to answer for this ad and that people should be coming for Sydney. And as much as I'm like, okay, sure, I get what you're saying, because at the end of the day, it was American Eagle who came up with this ad and everything. Sydney Sweeney was still the face for it. So at the end of the day, we can't get the CEO of American Eagle on the phone, right? Unfortunately, like, so what are we going to do about that? Even though I do know what they're talking about, right? And one thing I have to say is I think people also forget that part of the reason why Sydney didn't really address this whole thing until recently is because the check cleared. The check cleared from American Eagle for this ad. So to her, she's kind of like, whatever, you know, what does it matter, you know? But okay, I wanted to then play. So essentially she did an article with People Magazine, and this was very recent. This was in this month, right? I think it was like 4 days ago or 5 days ago. And in this magazine, she basically talks about the American Eagle jean ad. So she did this ad for American Eagle in July. It's now December, and this is the first time she's actively saying that she doesn't support what was in the ad, essentially. This is basically what People Magazine said about it. I'm going to put up like a little blurb from the actual magazine so that you guys can see. So essentially, they basically said, okay, I'm just going to read out from my computer and then I'll put a blurb on the screen as well. I was honestly surprised by the reaction. I did it because I love the jeans and love the brand. I don't support the views some people chose to connect to the campaign. Many have assigned motives and labels to me that just aren't true. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm always trying to bring people together. I'm against hate and divisiveness. In the past, my stance has been to never respond to negative or positive press, but recently I have come to realize that my silence regarding this issue has only widened the divide, not closed it. So I hope this new year brings more focus on what connects us instead of what divides us. Now, guys, I'm like, okay, yeah, but why did it take 6 months for us to get this? This is what I don't get. Like, the American Eagle ad came out in July. We are now in December. After the ad aired, she heard everything that people were saying online, talking about how they were alluding to genetic superiority from whiteness, talking about, you know, it was controversial. Why did it take this long? And in my opinion, that American Eagle check cleared for her. So to her, she was like, I'm still getting paid. I don't care what people are saying online. And then another thing I think people think, a lot of celebrities and stuff, is that any publicity is good publicity. So she's probably thinking, as long as people are talking about me, that's good, no matter what it is. But to me, this is very disingenuous, because I don't know how an apology can take you, something can take you 6 months. It doesn't make any sense, you know? And people are alluding to her career flopping. The movie she did recently where she's a boxer did not do as well as she thought it would. And maybe that's why she's feeling like she needs to backtrack now and do some apologies. I don't know. And respond to that ad, like 6 months later. So now I want to play some TikToks, specifically one that I thought this guy kind of broke things down really, really well. And he was hilarious. He basically compared American Eagle to Taco Bell. And I laughed so hard, but he's not wrong. You know, he's basically saying that American Eagle is not even like all that anymore. You know, like they used to be big back when like Hollister and Abercrombie were big, but they don't have the same popularity that they used to have at all. They're a little down bad and dusty, guys. I don't want to be mean, but like even doing this ad and having Sydney Sweeney in it, I think was also a way for them to get more attention, because they're not making the same amount of money that they used to make back in the day. Let's keep it a buck, you know? Like, they're not a brand that's really hot right now, like, at all. And if anything, I forgot they even existed until Sydney Sweeney did this ad. So it's crazy, you know? Yeah, but no hate to anybody that shops at American Eagle. I'm just saying in general, like they're not hot right now. There are other brands that have like surpassed them, you know? So, all right, I'm going to play this TikTok and then talk about it.
Oh, Sydney. What were you thinking? Sydney, your greatest accomplishment in Hollywood was standing next to a black woman. So why did you think that becoming a mascot for the people who hate black women the most would be the next step in becoming more successful? You ain't never heard the saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Word on the street is, you recently did an interview where you said that you don't support the views of all the people who were celebrating you after you refused to apologize or even address the controversy that you started when you decided to do a thinly veiled white supremacist pro-eugenics commercial for American Eagle? A pretty underwhelming brand to throw your whole reputation away for, by the way. That's like selling out for Taco Bell. You know, I've heard a lot of people try to dismiss the backlash for this commercial as liberals being too sensitive and always seeing racism where there is none. Yet, I am still waiting to hear a single one of these right-wing conservative YouTubers explain the connection between a person's genetics and wearing blue jeans. I mean, imagine if denim was traditionally black instead of blue. Does anyone really believe that this ad would have worked if Sydney Sweeney ended that ad with the line, "My jeans are black"? Even though the ad would not have made any more or less sense if it is the case that she was only referring to the color of her pants and nothing more. Somehow, her ending the ad with the line, "My jeans are black," it just feels like it makes less sense. And that's because the line is clearly a double entendre, referring to both the literal color of your pants as well as your genetics. It's a well-known fact that the color blue has long been associated with whiteness, elitism, and racial hierarchy. Whether it be the Virgin Mary, who the religious elites always had painted in ultramarine.
I love how this guy broke things down. And some of the things he mentioned that I thought was really interesting is he talked about how, you know, after she did the ad, they were kind of seeing her kind of alluding more towards like a right-wing, you know, stance on things. And there were a lot of right-wingers coming out and supporting her, supporting the ad. And they were, you know, he was saying in this video, or sorry, in this TikTok, that these are not the people that are going to be going to see your movies, you know, and cash in on things that you're doing. Like, at the end of the day, what would be the point in trying to get on the good side of these people? It doesn't make sense, you know? So let me know what you guys think about this. I feel like her apologizing now has to be like a career move, because I don't believe it. I don't believe her coming out and saying she doesn't support these things is just her thinking she needs to really just talk about this ad 6 months later. It's definitely a career move. There's definitely reasons why she's like, okay, let me do some damage control now, you know, and didn't do this in July when it came out, in August, in September. So it's very strange, you know? Okay. So there was one other TikTok that I wanted to play in regards to this topic, where she's basically talking about Sydney Sweeney's career and alluding to the fact that it must, you know, there must be reasons why she's come out with this apology now.
People like Sydney Sweeney have no spines, and I fucking hate that. Like, trying to get male validation aside, she's just fucking spineless and it's disgusting. You picked a side, okay, girl? So stand 10 toes down in that choice. You had the opportunity to explain yourself for that ad, and you chose to say nothing. You thought you were a badass. But now that the MAGA men no longer want you, you want to clear shit up. Girl, bye. We know what's going on, girl. Your career is flopping. And you're trying to come back with your tail between your legs, saying, let me explain. We need to allow you to fuck around and find out.
So yeah, I agree with what she's saying, that, you know, one thing that I will say though, you know, that I feel like I have to put out there is people do have to understand that a lot of people would do a lot of things that could be very controversial or taken wrong or not seen in the best light for a bag. And you guys know what I mean, right? Like for money, right? So I think that's one thing just to take into consideration, that even when American Eagle came to Sydney Sweeney and said, do this ad for us, maybe she didn't think it would be taken this way. I don't know what she was thinking, but even if she had an inkling that people wouldn't respond well or that it could be seen as, she didn't care, because no matter what, I'm sure American Eagle was paying her enough that she was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. So that's one thing that people have to kind of think about. I think that obviously where Sydney Sweeney has gone extremely wrong is not addressing the backlash from the ad. That's where people are just like, girl, we know you're out here getting that bag, you know, doing your thing. But if something is taken so wrong and out of context like that, what does it take for you to say, hey, you know, I'm surprised by the response on this. This is not what I meant. Like, what does that take, you know? And I think that her deciding to stay silent just shows you that she didn't care, because that check cleared from American Eagle. She got her money. And that's all she cared about. All of a sudden, we are now in December, you know, and she's trying to come back and say, oh, that's not what I meant. What's changed from July to December? It's just so crazy. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. Live in a world where I don't think there's anything wrong with clearing things up and saying, hey, I didn't mean to say this, or that's not what I intended by that ad. Like, it would have taken nothing for her to do that. And I just did feel like her deciding to stay silent during that interview with GQ in November was like blatant, you know? And like, even the way she was smiling, I was like, girl, why are you smiling like that? Like, that bothered me. You know, she was like, when I have something to say, I'll say it. And she was like smiling. And in my head, I'm like, this is your opportunity to clear the air. Why are you not taking it? And what has changed? Now we're in December and she's like, ooh, I guess I missed my opportunity to clear the air. Let me clear it up now. Another thing I have to say too about this whole thing is, I think that when people are on camera, because the GQ interview was on camera, I think people are more scared to say the wrong thing. And I do think that it's interesting that she decided to release this statement out to People magazine. But I don't know, like, I just find it interesting, because I feel like when you release a statement, you can curate it much better than when you're in person. It's so much easier to say something wrong, or, you know what I mean? Or have things get taken the wrong way. So I feel like a lot of people, when they're even doing these apologies or trying to backtrack on something or clear things up, they decide to go the route of, let me write this out. And let's be real, it was her PR team that probably helped her write that. It probably wasn't even her, which is fine. But I'm just saying that people really like to have the ability to just type something up and make it look nice, put all the right words in there, and send that out and be like, there you go, I'm taking my accountability, or I've done my part, you know, and leave it that way. So please let me know what you guys think about this topic. Please comment down below. Even if you completely disagree with some of the things I said, I'd love to hear your opinion. I always enjoy interacting with the comment section. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.